I have a job at the moment, and I really like it. But I had a job before that was a lot less fun. I'm not gonna say the name of this place because I don't even know what kind of legal trouble that could get me in. We'll just call it Unspecified Pizza Place for now. I'm going to tell you 3 stories today. My aim for this video is that you leave with a sense of understanding of what it's like to work in customer service. Because I think the world would be a better place if everyone had to do mandatory customer service work. Like they had to work a customer service job for at least 6 months. Just so they know. Story number 1 is of my very first day at this job, and I will just put it out there now, I did not receive any training. There were lots of Bulgarian men everywhere. I don't speak Bulgarian. They were all very loud and they did a lot of shouting and it was never in English. So I could never understand what they were trying to get me to do, but then they were angry when I didn't do it, but like, oh man. My job was basically answering phones, taking orders, putting them in the computer, and generally just standing around being on my phone because we weren't really supervised whatsoever at all. So someone ordered 2 large pizzas, and what I didn't realise is that when you put in pizzas, you have to make sure that you put in the size first and then the rest of the details. I just clicked buttons. Once again, no training. So I ended up sending these people small versions of the pizzas that they had ordered. Obviously they weren't happy with that. So then they called again and said, "Yo, why is our pizza tiny? We ordered big ones." Poor little me, again, just didn't know what she was doing. So I was like, "God, I'm sorry. Shall I send you some more pizza?" And they were like, "Fuck yeah." Because who would say no to someone offering to send more pizza? So I put it in the computer correct this time, in the size that they wanted, and sent it. Didn't really say anything to anyone because everyone was very busy and I didn't want to speak. I get another call, another 20 minutes later, saying these pizzas are wrong. So once again, sent 2 more pizzas. Basically, I ended up sending these people like 6 pizzas. And we should have been like taking back the old ones that were apparently wrong. We weren't doing that because I didn't know that that was what we did. I should have just known. I should have just worked out that that was the policy. But I was very scared. I don't think my boss ever found out about that. If you're watching right now, sorry, but you didn't tell me what to do. Story number 2 was about a week later, so I had a week of experience. I was a little bit more used to things. I now knew that you don't just fucking send free pizzas for no reason. So this guy calls up and he asks where his pizza is, and we can check in the system where the pizza is. Like, it will say delivery, and then it will say whether it's on its way or it's in the shop or it's been delivered. So I clicked on this guy's phone number and it sent me to his order details, and it said delivered. So I was like, oh, well, that probably means that it's on the road to you. It'll be with you very soon. What I didn't know was this man had ordered something and the order had not gone through. So the order I was looking at on the screen was from like 2 weeks ago. Of course that one said delivered because that one did get delivered. He calls again another half an hour later and he was mad. He was like, "I have children here. They're hungry. Where's the pizza?" At this point I realized my mistake and fear took over. I said, "I'm really sorry, something's gone wrong in the system. We can send the pizzas again, but it's gonna take about 40 minutes because it was a Saturday and Saturdays were busy." This gentleman was not happy about that news, so he continued to yell at me. Here's the thing. I admit that was my fault. I messed up. But I was gonna pretend that it wasn't my fault. I told this man that it wasn't me who had talked to him about his order before, it was someone else, and they'd left now. So technically, it wasn't my fault, although it was my fault. But I told him it wasn't my fault. He bought it, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I understand, it's not your fault, you haven't done anything wrong." And then he continued to yell at me. I just kind of stood there and was like, okay, well, I'm gonna hang up now because you won't stop screaming at me. So put the phone down. 2 minutes later, he calls again. I pick up the phone and launch myself into the usual speech of, "Hello, thank you for calling Unspecified Pizza Place. How may I help you?" When he cuts me off and just continues yelling. It was as if I hadn't even put the phone down. He wasn't fazed by that. He was like, "Oh, that's a shame. I'll just call again and continue to verbally abuse this 16-year-old girl." I put the phone down again and he called a 3rd time. At this point, I recognized the number when it flashed on the machine, so I just stood there looking at it like, no, nuh-uh, I'm not doing that. No way. Couple minutes go by, the phone stops ringing. I'm like, cool, I'm in the clear, it's all good. A different phone starts ringing with a different telephone number, so I'm like, I can do that. I'm trained for this, kind of. So I pick up the phone. It's him again, calling from a different phone. Can we just appreciate that this guy figured out that I was not answering because I knew it was him, found a different phone, called me again just to continue screaming at me. That's dedication, my friends. That's dedication. Also slightly scary. That was my first time getting yelled at by a customer. It was not my last time. It happened probably once every couple of hours. Story number 3 both amuses and enrages me. It will be clear why. It was a very normal day at Unspecified Pizza Place. I was standing at the front of the shop waiting for things to happen, and then I see this guy walking towards the shop through the window. He walks into the shop, walks straight over to where I'm standing, and says, "I'm not here to buy a pizza, I'm just here to tell you you look sexy in your uniform." I'm just gonna point out, the uniform at Unspecified Pizza Place was not sexy even a little bit. Even people who were into Pizza Place roleplay would not have found that uniform attractive whatsoever. I burst out laughing, at which point he says, "Ah, I bet I've made your evening now, haven't I?" Yes, strange man who I don't know, you calling me attractive has been the best thing to happen to me today. My wishes have been fulfilled. My purpose as a woman is done. I think he was kind of hoping I'd like start weeping out of joy that I had been called attractive by a man, because, oh boy, isn't that just the greatest day for anyone? Eventually he just walked away, probably to go and change some other person's life by validating their appearance. And I kind of soaked in the fact that that just happened and those kind of people actually exist. I guess the moral of these stories is if you get served by someone in a shop or at a till, just be like a little bit extra nice. Just a little bit extra nice. Fun fact, Ramona was in the background of this video the entire time. You just couldn't see her because she was on the floor. See, here at Mayonushka you get behind the scenes access as well as top-notch content.